Orson Welles, they asked him once, well, what do you think of these films here? The first one was, he was talking about other films. And then finally he stopped there and says, you know what? It only takes one. That's all you need in life. One hit that fully expresses who you are, what you are, and it's not about being important or famous, but that you make that expression. That's the responsibility I see for any artist. Yes, we have to get through school. Yes, we have to get the degree. Yes, we have to get that job. Yes, we have to do the 9 to 5 and pay our dues. But ultimately, did you do that one? Did you do it responsibly? Does it really reflect where you were coming, and is it honest? Is it honest? That's all it is.
I want to back up to you thought this was an African-American class. It's because I'm an African-American teacher?
No, it was the course syllabus. When you said Africana stories, I thought it was, I just immediately assumed, okay, cool, all right, I know I'm going to be with a bunch of brothers and sisters.
Well, I should say that...
which ain't no problem. I like hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
Although you're a little subdued. It's up to you.
It's raining.
It's raining? Is that what it is?
It's raining today.
But it's no problem. I mean...
it's not that it's a problem, but it is a thing that many people that I've invited to here feel. And usually I try and talk about what school is like and who was here so that they know. Mm-hmm. But even when I do that, Louise, they still think that this particular class will be, completely African American. And to its credit, it almost never is. And if if other people didn't take it, we couldn't offer it because that's not where we are as a school.
And building on that, where how I was raised, okay? I didn't grow up in the South Bronx. I didn't grow up with this, type of accent. This is because I'm relaxed now. But I grew up in an integrated neighborhood, okay? Which had Irish, Italian, Puerto Ricans, blacks, you name it, I went to that type of school. And I try to reflect that in my work, and giving it some type of universal message. Because the universal themes in my work have nothing to do with chaos or anything like that, but it has more to do with how humans interact. Okay? Now, I'll see if I can give you an example of that. If you can see him through my eyes. His name is Wilfredo. The family calls him Don Wilfredo, but his downtown friends, they call him Willie. Willie! Line me up so I can go out and play. Wilfredo, the anointed apostle, is the master barber at the Spanish-American barber shop on 117th and Lenox, sepulcher of the blessed hairstyle. Walls adorned with pictures of Machito, Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X. Hair he keeps and sweeps for years, keeping the clippings at a secret altar to St. Lazarus in the back of the Spanish-American barber shop. It's not the only secret he keeps. For you see, Don Wilfredo is said to be a three-quarter closet gay man. Homo, queer, faziho. Well now, listen to his secrets. A lifetime of secrets. Words he dare not utter unless among his own. A scholarly appreciation of what we call the great game. Such wisdom. Don Wilfredo, the anointed apostle, has a special gift that sears through the souls of the lives he touches. He consecrates the locals while cutting their hair, rubbing oil deep into their scalps, alcohol along the edge of the cut, and menthol on their neck to cool them down, all the while imparting knowledge and blessings. In the beginning, there's the beautiful game of love and wonderment, and that game is within the light, and whoever reaches for that light brings back peace, and to the extent of his reach is to bring back the divine. Be careful, my brother. You may be corrupting the beautiful game into the great game and compromising every truth along the way. Perhaps Don Wilfredo's solitude is really a special fulfillment from God, something marvelous, a unique celestial attention, for Wilfredo is nothing less than a voice of love and concern. And isn't Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad about love and concern? Since the days the elusive one verse visits man, the light sometimes arrives with a disturbance, an offbeat of the unusual. So before we crucify him with whispered nails, homo, queer, fascio, stop and think. Perhaps a person's lifestyle is really a blessing. For who are we to know God's ways and plans? When we're walking together, people just stop and stare. But if you could see him through my eyes, he wouldn't be a faggot. He'd be a man. I wrote that for my brother, who has gone through a lot of changes because we come from a very hetero Catholic family. And he is a well-educated gay man. Okay? And when my family found that out, they flipped out. We went to the Slam Championships. I was representing Connecticut, all right, in 1997 and 98. And we went to the championships in Chicago. Some guy got up, and I know he's an Asian comedian, and he did this whole piece about, but does it make me gay? Going to Bloomingdale's, but does it make me gay? You know? Being able to order, but does it make me gay? And, you know, people were laughing in the audience, right? But my brother's sitting next to me. And I see him getting madder and madder, you know, but when he gets mad, he doesn't explode, he just gets real quiet. You know, I said, what's up, what's going on? He says, that is the most hateful piece I've ever heard. You know, that's stereotyping people like me, you know. And I thought about it, and I said, you know, it's right. So I wrote that piece and did it the next year at the National Slams. And fortunately, when it happened was, I was up against the son of a bitch who had done the gay piece. And I banged him. And then I walked up to him, and I punched him, and kept on walking. You know, because I am a thug in some cases. But he had disrespected my brother, you know. And that was the only way I knew how to do it. Again, there are some things that I do not recommend to any of you. This has been part of my life, okay? I just share it with you that way. What time do we have here?
We're okay.
We're okay? Okay.
And I want to tell you that I'm not trying to universalize them. That's not why this course exists. Mm-hmm. It exists because there have been, I believe, holes in their education. The Africana stuff, most people didn't get. And it didn't have anything to do with them being African American. They didn't get it either, you know, based on where they were, in most cases. So that the course exists to provide that set of information, that perspective, those readings. Like, it's funny, they are going to read Kane. I think it's a very important book to read.
It's an extremely important book.
And they haven't had it. I mean, so we're going to read Kane this semester too. And it's that reason, that's just a big part of the whole global thing. Everybody needs that information.
Mm-hmm. Just like the tradition that I come out of, which is the Nuyorican writers, okay? We were not part of the Beats. We're not part of the Last Poets. I believe that the Nuyorican were a unique group of writers because where the Beats, you know, kind of went out and extemporized about themselves, and where the Last Poets had a very definite political message to put out, okay? And you know who these people are, right? At least you know who the Last Poets and the Beats are.
Answer him. Do you know?
No.
All right. The Beats were primarily a male, gay block of writers from the 50s, Allen Ginsberg among them, who kind of were the first ones to do this common language writing, poetic writing. The Last Poets, a very hardcore African-American unit of writers, okay, from the 60s. Now the Beats, they put out their message. The Last Poets spoke at you. They had a message to tell you. This is happening. Look at this shit, all right? Whereas the Nuyorican spoke with each other. We spoke among each other. People like Pedro Pietri and Mikey Pinheiro. We had and Papoleto. and Sandy Estevez, and the Nuyorican also were a group that included more women than the other groups I'd done before, because we had stories to tell each other. When the Nuyorican came out, you know, we really didn't have a voice anywhere. We weren't on as Puerto Ricans, we weren't on TV, we weren't in the movies, we weren't anywhere. So we had to entertain ourselves, and these stories, these poems, these epics, you know, we shared with each other. Look what happened in my life. Look what happened here. Look what happened here. Can you believe what I just saw? You know? And there would be days. I mean, it wasn't just poets. We had guys like Rick Aviles, who was a comedian, who would come in.
He talk like this, you know, he says, I'm half black and half Puerto Rican. I don't know whether to go play basketball or dominoes, you know?
He was for a long time on the Apollo. He hosted nighttime showtime at the Apollo, and passed away. I knew Rick very well. Same as Luis Caballero. They had comedians, we had musicians. It was really about a party, you know.
This is the Nuyorican Cafe he's talking about
Right.
in New York.
Which I'm not allowed in anymore, by the way.
Here we go.
You know, because if you're really a real Nuyorican, eventually you're going to get banned from the cafe. It's a mark of honor. Every one of us who had anything to say has been thrown out. Except for Miguel, who founded it, who continues to collect the check. Get that on tape. But in any event, you know, it's just a passage of life. Because also the other part of the Nuyorican is one that once you have done what you come to do, it's time to move on and take your message out. Which brings me to why, in my retirement, I travel from town to town, setting up particular types of programs. And I'm not talking about youth outreach, which I've done, and then prison outreach. My thing right now is setting up online community television stations so that each community that I run into says, look, you can set this up with open source software, you can get your message out, you can get your artwork out, you can create digitally, you know, online, your message, utilizing what you're doing in your current life, you know. So each one of us also has a responsibility to do something, you know, out in the world, okay?
Can we take questions? Are you all right?
Yeah, man, because I can be talking out every day, then what the fuck am I going to say next? Jesus, am I reaching these people?
Questions.
Yes, Bobby.
Are you familiar, there's, based on your 9/11 piece, there's Mortal Techniques song that talks about conspiracy.
Conspiracy theories?
Yeah.
There's been a flood, you know, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
All right. In fact, there have been several books. There was an agent involved in New York City, an FBI agent, who got killed in 9/11. And I believe Harvey Keitel played him in a movie.
Oh, okay.
Which, you know, shows it. I mean, it doesn't make sense, okay? Why haven't we caught Osama yet? Come on, man. You know, you know, I mean, the cat was in bed with these guys. They gave him money, as I say, and he disappears, you know? I mean, this is kind of funny, you know? And there's a lot of other stuff going on in America. Where I live in Ohio right now, they grabbed a bunch of militia people, you know, who are ready to kill policemen, okay? This is in America.
Why?
Why?
Why do you want to kill police?
Militia? There's that right-wing militia type groups. They wanted to kill the cops, one cop, ambush him to make an example, and then start, like the Charlie Manson thing, a race war. They were going to try to blame it on a Mexican or a black doing it. But then they also got real crazy and said, at the funeral, we're going to ambush every other cop that shows up. That's when it got out. See, there's a lot of insanity in America. There's a lot of insanity in the world. There are people with agendas, you know, that don't have you in their best interest. That's why I also say again to you, your artwork is important because whatever you do, it is a statement of self. If you stay true to yourself, it is a statement of self. You dig? And that self can battle that idiocy. Because if you're true to yourself, you know, honesty can trump stupidity. Not all the time. Sometimes stupidity gets through. But you have to make the effort at the very least. You understand?
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? You look like an interested young man. What's going on with you, puppy?
Question. I was going to ask you, can you do Homegirl Deluxe?
Homegirl Deluxe. Oh my God. Okay. That just got picked to go into a journal. That is the darkest piece in this book. This actually was said to me. This was,
It stood out.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? What Homegirl Deluxe is, if you ever go into the life and get caught up in it, and I don't know how many, you know, it's okay with me if you didn't read the book, you know, at least you bought it. But if you go into the life, this is what's going to happen to you. Okay? This is when you reach the moment of desperation. Now, I can't imitate stuttering too well, but this person stuttered. When they used to get high, they used to stutter. So I possess the eternal mind. Stuttered remembrances and immediate realities of an intimate crime against myself. My words spill forth and evaporate in the ready battle, permeating my body, ripping apart what is whole. I sit, just finished doing a dub, unrolling and licking the dollar bill for the third, fourth, fifth time in the last 6, 7, 8 days. Who knows? I'm sitting here battling, not knowing anything, my everyday existence. I'm taking it for granted, not knowing where to go. How have I gotten here? But I know all that. I've sold my body for lots of money at times. I've sold my soul for frozen bliss at times. Done blowjobs for an 8-ball. Gone out, turned the trick for $100, $90, whatever. Just so I could get what I want. I look inside of myself and I see a light, but discourage it from coming out. Have had plenty of opportunities, but either too scared, lazy, or just downright stupid, afraid to understand what life is, what it's like to be a human being. And yet I talk about the profound feelings I have of being part of the universe, how I understand things that other people just gloss over. I embrace the lies of despair in my own words, because I've never stood up, faced them, looked at them for everything that they claim. I pray, I think. I don't feel I'm being a hypocrite to God, to myself. What is it really like to sit back to say who I really am? Do I have to tell everybody? Do I have to alleviate the guilt by thinking there is someone I can confess my sins to? And I sit here and I say I understand how people think and how they feel. Caught in my own trap. That's the real sad part. How do I justify lying to myself? Is that being a human or a pity onto myself? That was another prostitute friend of mine. You know, I apologize for nothing in my life, okay? The people that I hang out with are no different than the people that Van Gogh hung out with, that other artists have hung out with. I do not recommend it to anyone, but these are the people that I find interesting and that I identify with, because many times I have felt like a whore. And I have whored myself, okay? I felt that for 20 years in news, there were days that I was whoring myself. I have a talent to write, and yet I was writing these stupid stories, you know, that meant nothing, that was part of the general Fox News type of mentality, and I didn't give a shit. They were paying me, so I write whatever the fuck they wanted to, you know? You want me to be conservative today? I'll be conservative. You want me to be liberal? I'll be liberal. What do you want me to be today? You know, the ever-changing mask. That is what that business is about, ever-changing mask. Again, you don't have to do that in your artwork. Be true, all right? Whatever field you go into. Now, please, this poor woman here is falling asleep. I don't know what was somebody. You all right? You're hypoglycemic. You're hanging in there. We're almost done, baby. We're almost done.
Okay.
Because after this, I'm going out. I'm going to be drinking some wine and smoking some reefer and just hanging out. So quickly, and if you got any, you got my card. Just call me up, man. I'll be right with you. But in any event, I know you got a question. You got something to say. You got more teeth than jaws. Talk to me. You just get into it. I don't want you all to lose respect for me, man, because you know, they did pay me to be here, so make me work. September 27th, it's coming up. I'm a Libra, I'm perfectly balanced, I have a chip on each shoulder.
Were you born in Puerto Rico?
No, I was born in New York City. Born in New York City, raised in New York City. Came up in Brooklyn. It's fall in Brooklyn, 1963. My mother and father searched Dean Street and Hoyt for their wild child. A turquoise-dressed martyr and a drunken fallen angel. Desperately driven by the tears of God. ¿Dónde está mi hijo? ¿Dónde está mi hijo? Que Dios lo protege. Where is my son? Where is my son? May God protect him. I've escaped from the world without so much as a by your leave. The first step as a runner in the great game. I'm aided by my babysitter son Richie, who borrows me for the afternoon but doesn't say where we're going. Vente conmigo, cabal, vente conmigo. Vente conmigo, cabal, vente conmigo. Come with me. We climb ancient stairwells to an afternoon red party, a Brooklyn Heights holiday. I spy Mommy and Papi from the third floor window, and my silence cuts our umbilical cord. As Richie, the Latino mod, plays his conspicuous blues. His hands detonate a jet black bomb of a grand piano, whose sound swims through the barren apartment, where the musical notes come like wave after wave after wave on a sunny day at Coney Island. I'm scared and I'm fascinated. I taste my fingers sweet with caramels. Cherry blossom and almond scent of the freshly painted rooms settle on my 7-year-old body. I am seduced by the beauty of Nuyorican music. Richie returned me home later that afternoon explaining as best a 17-year-old could that he had lost track of time. Richie, the Latino mod, well, he had started time for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wrote that piece for my mother and father. My mother and father came from Puerto Rico. My father served in the Korean War. My father and mother were high school graduates, and they worked very hard in the United States. My father and mother's goal was that the 7 of us would at least graduate high school. 6 of us graduated from college. All right? So it's to their honor that I wrote that. I wrote that piece in 1990 as a tribute to them. I was working at the time at the State Senate in Albany, New York, and part of the local poetry. So I wrote it for them. I'm very happy that both of them got to see me perform that, because that really is one of my signature pieces, you know. And my dad passed away like 5 years ago. So you know, there's a lot of emotion in that. And that's another thing that I'm telling you about drawing from your life. You say, where do I come from? I was born in the United States. Man, I know that a lot of cats get hung up when they come from the island. Yo, man, or they're from New York and they're born in. Yo, man, I'm Puerto Rican, man. And no, it's got to be free. I don't play that. I think Puerto Rico should be part of the United States, a state, period. All right, I think this is bullshit that we're either a colony or a commonwealth. That doesn't work for me. All right. Now that gets me in trouble with other Nuyorican writers, because all of them want to be independents. You know, they want to be Che Guevara, and you know, Che Guevara died. You know what I mean? In the jungle. I don't play that. You know, I want to be part of the system, in the system, so I can fuck with the system. You dig? That was our goal. When they came and got us in the Bronx, when Amherst College came down and recruited 4 of us from my high school, our agreement, and only 3 of us went, our agreement was this: we're going in because we're not going in to be, you know,
co-opted.
Co-opted. We want to go in, and then we're going to, wherever the hell we can get in, we're going to make a difference. John Russell is one of them. Dr. John Russell. He's teaching he's a brother from Harlem. He's teaching at Gifu University in Japan. Japan, the most racist country in the world. And they keep on asking him if he's Michael Jackson. You dig? But he got his doctorate at Harvard after Amherst. And his difference is that he came out of Harlem. He's teaching in Japan. He's a son of a bitch, man. You don't understand? The other one was me. Well, obviously, look at what happened to me, right? I got into TV, and my thing was, I didn't want to be Geraldo Rivera, and I didn't want to be, one of these fluff dry. I said to myself, the power is not on the screen. The power is management. The power is running that station. And at the end of my career, I was running a TV station. It's true, I was putting in 17-hour days. But I got there, and I did it, and that was it. Now I've moved on. The third cat that went away, well, he kind of went goofy. He's working at the New York Times, and I think that he's working for the FBI these days. But that's like the story that came out yesterday about the New York Times photographer. That happens a lot. But, I'm not going to personally speak about him today because I got a beef with him right now, and basically, it's not worth it.
Well, are there any other questions?
Yeah. Observations, questions, telephone numbers.
Going once.
Do you write your stories and perform them as you're writing them, or how do you?
Interesting. Before I got this, I used to have a little tape recorder. Okay, one of those little cassette things. And I tend to speak. I'll play some music, and then I'll get into the groove, and I start flowing into it. And sometimes it's a matter of editing the flows. Sometimes, when I'm really lucky, it comes out all at once. And I'll show you one that did. Okay? If I could just find it here. My own book, and I don't even know where it is. It's terrible. Where am I? Oh, jeepers. Just stick with me, boys and girls. I know it's here.
What is the name of it?
I don't know. I know what it is. And okay, here we go. Here we go. And at 503 of 161st Street, Billy Zombie comes out the side of his neck, sells wolf tickets with glimmers that peel the insides of lesser cobras competing for strikes in the bush. Cubicle thoughts neatly arrange themselves in Billy's mind. Crime does not pay, at least not the way lesser children try to pull it off. Billy Zombie is a Dawn Patrol jammer from the giddy-up. For him, Susie Sidewinder is heaven on earth. The pale fall moon moans as Billy makes love to Susie, never with her, but through her. Susie's lust is to linger with him. Susie's lust is to rapture in chaos, being swept far away as Billy's vice spills him. The stars desert the skies and rush to fill her eyes as she lies, while Billy pumps her lips up and down with a circular motion, swallows her whole. She comes hard, sits straight up and heated, repeated, succeeded, rushes of ecstasy. Oh, Billy, you can crawl across my bed sheets on your eyebrows anytime, Poppy. Mommy, you may be a bitch to others, but you're an angel in my eyes. Two caramel blackbirds singing little blue lies along a lazy side street of a jungle gone mad. In between the sexing, Billy rides the loop, and from night to night, leave little pieces of themselves on the extreme highway. That's the kind of stuff that comes out at once. What happened with that, I was listening to the Platters, of all people. The Platters are an old 50s group. Heavenly shades of light are falling in twilight time. It's like this lush romantic. And I'm thinking about myself and one of my ex-girlfriends and what we used to do, And it just kind of like, I spoke it. And it just came out that way. Of course, at the time, I was very much into that whole slamming type of poetry, which I don't endorse anymore. I don't think poets should slam each other. Okay, I think a poet should get up and tell his piece and keep on moving. But at the time, that's what happened.
Well, you like a rap battle,
No, yeah, like rap battles. Poets do that.
Oh, yeah.
That's what that whole Def Jam poetry thing on on HBO. It really comes out of the slam poetry world, which was started in 1991 in Chicago at the Green Mill. They just had contests where you go up and and you get your friends to be in the audience, and they give you points, up to 30 points. To me, after a while, it became repetitive. It was the same style of poetry, the same themes, and you're not getting anything. It's like you're just going up in somebody's face.
It's not really
Man,
meaningful,
you know?
It's not really meaningful.
No, to me it's not. I mean, it is too. Look, it is. I see two worlds of spoken word and poetry. There are people who want to be actors. They want to be famous. They want to be J-Lo. They want to be, whatever the hell they want to be. Has nothing to do with the written word. They just want to be somebody. And this is, they latch onto it, and it's like, okay, this is my ticket to get a film role. And, like Guizamo was an example of that. Gianlo Guizamo was a cat who, stole everybody's material from the Lower East Side, worked it, paid off an agent, would manage to get, the right people to back him up for his first one-man show. But all that material was ripped off from Rick Aviles and Charlie Barnett, who was a black comic from the Lower East Side who died of AIDS, all right? And Charlie Barnett, to me, was a genius. Only problem was Charlie Barnett could not read. He was not literate, but he could speak. In fact, he was going to be tapped before Eddie Murphy went on Saturday Night Live. It was Charlie Barnett was going to be up, and when they gave him the cue cards, he couldn't read them. But Charlie used to do these things in the park, and Leguizamo ripped them off. So then he died.
That's interesting though, because as far as writing stories, you talk about how you don't write them down. So I wonder if
No, I do write them down.
Oh, really?
I do. No, I talk them into a recorder first. Then I sit down and transcribe them. Then I study it, because there is a difference between the spoken word and the written word. And when you see it on paper, you see things that, I could do this a little bit differently. You tweak it. Then for me, it's to go out and do it over and over and over again. And I suggest strongly, don't fall asleep, I'll get to you in a minute. Suggest strongly that you try it out at open mics, memorize it, another discipline, because there is discipline within this. You have to have discipline.
Well, this is just for you, is this just a template though? This is, these are the words, but then how you tell it and how you think of it in your head this is just the frame of the meat.
It's the script.
Yeah.
It's the text.
It's the text.
You have to add voice.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Which
the
is
least important.
Storytelling. It's all that other stuff. That's the text.
which for us you have griots,
Creoles, yes.
right? For us in Puerto Rico is declamadores. Declamadores were people guys generally, who will come out with panderetas, tambourines, and they would tell the day's stories on the corner, rhyming. You see, to me it all comes back to music and movement, That's what we're doing. We're just different types of musicians, as poets. Some of us rhyme, some of us don't. I mean, there's a lot of that spoken word stuff that, they get that rhyme and then they flow into a little song. So often they goof on us. I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. The earliest Nuyorican poets. Somebody give me 3 words, just 3 different words. Go ahead.
Cat, mouse, and giraffe.
Cat, mouse, giraffe, all right. Nuyorican poet from 1973. The cat was walking down the street and he saw a mouse. But then he stood back and checked out because he was being stopped by a giraffe. And then they got thank you when he get on stage, That's the goof. I mean, and there was a lot of that stuff that was going on in the early days. I still think there's stuff like that going on these days, okay? Where it's just structured this way, right? Another big thing for the early guys that I would go see in these cafes was there was a lot of vulgarity going on, all right? I actually seen some guy get up one night and just for 5 minutes, it was nonstop, curse words in Spanish. I was like, what the fuck because of this. And then he said, thank you very much, and got on stage, you know. I seen a cat once, and this is another true story. I cannot make this shit up. He, all dressed in white, okay? With a beautiful little white hat. And he had a golden book in his hands. And he walked up on stage, and he said, tonight I will read the entire Quran. Que si que? I don't know. That guy say he's going to read the entire, I don't know, Quran, I don't say, give me another beer. And this guy started reading. And he read, boom, he read, boom, he read. And about 15 minutes in, somebody in the back of the bar said, yo, I think this motherfucker told the truth. He's going to read that entire book. Man, they ran up on stage and just asked this fellow read, this is true. He ran up and grabbed his hand, boom, knocked him out. Bam, knocked him to the floor. Threw him out the place, all right? Dragged him down the street and left him off in front of another club that used to do poetry. He said, yo, man, don't come back to the Nuyorican and read that long shit. We got really short attention spans. It must be the weed. And they left him there, you know?
Yes.
True story. So,
Oh, that's horrible.
what?
They beat him up?
They beat him up. They threw him, because they should go over 3 minutes. Miguel Algarin said it wrong.
You have to have, you see, he speaks like this, first of all. Miguel is the founder.
Now leave Miguel alone.
Miguel, no.
Leave Miguel alone.
No. You see, you have to understand, my boy. You have to have the authority of the room. I exude the authority of the room. If a poet or a writer goes on for too long, well, we just throw his ass out. That's entertainment.
You know? And that's Miguel. God bless him. I mean, he did with the other guys have the bar, because it was a bar, yo. It was a bar. That's what it was. But they did maintain that flow. And really, the heart and soul of that place was Pedro Pietri.